A Texas lease agreement is something you don't want to just skim over and hope for the best. It's a legally binding document, and believe me, underestimating its importance can end with you in court or out thousands of dollars. Here's the main thing. A Texas residential lease agreement defines the relationship between a landlord and a tenant. It outlines who pays for what, who does what, and basically what happens if things go south. If you don't set expectations up front, it's chaos later. One major pain point people tell me about is confusion over the security deposit. In Texas, landlords typically collect 1 or 2 months' rent up front, but the law states it must be returned within 30 days of the tenant moving out, minus damages. Pro tip: document everything during move-in. Take pictures of every corner of the property. Yes, even the closets. If you can show, hey, this hole in the wall was already there, getting your deposit back becomes way easier. Let's talk about lease duration. Most are for 12 months, but Texas gives you flexibility. You can do a month-to-month lease if you don't want to commit long-term. Just pay attention to notice periods for ending the lease, typically 30 days. Late fees are a common source of conflict. Texas law requires fees to be reasonable, which usually means around 10 to 12% of the monthly rent. If your lease doesn't specify late fees, landlords can't arbitrarily charge you for missing payments. Big pain point: maintenance responsibilities. The lease must spell out who fixes what. In Texas, landlords must ensure the property is habitable, so no broken air conditioning in the middle of a July heat wave. Tenants, though, usually handle minor things. Pro tip: if you're requesting repairs, do it in writing. Emails work great for this. That way, if your landlord ignores you, you have a paper trail to prove you reached out. Texas courts love clear evidence. Now let's address early termination. If you're in the middle of a lease and need to leave, you might still owe rent for the remainder of the term. But there are exceptions: active military duty or situations involving domestic violence as examples. Another thing, subleasing. A lot of leases in Texas outright forbid it, but some allow it with approval from the landlord. Always check this section before letting a buddy crash long-term or advertising the place on Craigslist. Don't forget about pets. Texas lease agreements are usually super specific about pets. Size, breed, even the number allowed. If your landlord finds out you secretly have a Great Dane, that's grounds for eviction unless it's an emotional support animal. Here's a key detail. The eviction process in Texas is highly structured. A notice to vacate gives you 3 days to leave, but landlords must follow the proper legal procedures. They can't just change the locks or toss your furniture on the lawn. Lease agreements aren't glamorous, but spending 30 minutes reading one closely can save you countless headaches. Honestly, it's not just paperwork. It's the playbook for how things will or won't go smoothly during your rental period.